welcome Leanne and Violetta to your very first official Osborne School District meeting. We're going to start the meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance, land acknowledgement statement, and school presentation. I'm going to start with our land acknowledgement statement. It's something a little bit different than we have done in the past. Something that I asked to add. Many other governmental entities are doing land acknowledgement statements to acknowledge the sovereign land that we sit on here today. And so I want to read the land acknowledgement statement as drafted by our Osborne Equity Committee. Arizona is home to these lands and recognizes that they still reside throughout our city of Phoenix. We recognize their wisdom, impact, and generosity towards us. Osborne School District is surrounded by the original Salt River canals that were constructed by the ancestral Sonoran Desert people, the Hohokam. These canals created a livelihood for the people and are still in use today. We acknowledge the modern indigenous people that inhabited this area, as well as their Sonoran Desert ancestors, the Hohokam. We're going to go ahead and move to our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Martin.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Doing well. Good.
Awesome. Well, I would like to invite Donna Salcedo, our community leaders president, up to do our Pledge of Allegiance.
Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Well, we are very excited to be representing our Cougar family tonight. And we're going to start off by sharing some updates at our school and recent events that have happened. So if you've ever been to our Clarendon campus, you know that we try to embody all of our core values, but one that we really, really, really love and lean into is joy on our campus. And so what we're going to be doing today are highlighting some moments of learning and joy that have happened on our campus recently. And so one is in November, we were celebrating Native American History Month. Daily students were learning about prominent Native American figures in history and learning about their contributions. In addition, there were research projects done led by our Native American specialist, Miss Amber Stevens, who led some research projects on that. And then we also had the opportunity for a couple of Native American tribal dancers to come in and share more about their culture, and that was put on by one of our student teachers through the AZ K through 12 Center, who is a part of the dance crew, and they came in and led us in a friendship dance, which you can see here. So that was just a very small snippet of it, but it was hard to capture it all with so many students involved. But it was a wonderful experience where they got to learn more about Native American culture. In addition, we had Winter Around the World, which I know you two got to kind of see the behind the scenes look at, but it was a wonderful event where most classes did research on a different country or a different region in terms of how they might celebrate Christmas or just general traditions that they might have. And ended up giving a performance of some sort, whether it was a song, a skit, a poem, a demonstration. So we have our little elves up there, as well as our 5th grade class, Mr. Maze's class, did some research on Islam and and some students who were are Islamic shared some of their different traditions that they have with our school. And as you could see, it was a really packed house. There weren't many seats. It was also a lot of standing. So it was wonderful to have everybody back on campus, especially after such a long time of not having people on campus. Another thing that we want to highlight is our 21st century programming, and it was hard. I had to stop myself from putting everything that we have on the list. This is just what we have for this round, but this doesn't show what we had last round and in the upcoming rounds as well. But as you can see, we have a lot of academic things with homework help. We have some student interest things like Harry Potter book club. We have yearbook club. We have athletics as well. We just wrapped up our soccer season and are full steam ahead in our basketball season. So very excited for our tournament coming up in early February against the other schools. But there are two specific clubs that we would like to highlight. So one of them is our Community Leaders Club. And for that, I'm gonna welcome Donna back up. And she's gonna share a little bit about what they've been working on.
Community Leaders is a club that has helped and represented Clarendon. We have accomplished a lot during the club, including hosting St. Mary's Food Drive, gathering 1,094 pounds of food, making 912 meals for our community. We have also made thank you posters for all of our teachers here at Clarendon to show our appreciation towards their hard work. Additionally, we have made thankful grams which cost $1 that include a piece of candy attached to a thankful for you note. As the school year ends, I realize that Community Leaders has helped me in working together with my classmates and realizing the importance of working for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
And she did a wonderful job highlighting a lot of the big accomplishments of this group, which is led by Miss Clark over here. Oh, there you go. Who will be celebrated a little bit later as well. I also just want to reiterate that it was 1,094 pounds of food that was donated, resulting in 912 meals for our community. And we're just very thankful for this group for putting this together. And as you can see, the theme kind of woven through all of that is spreading joy, whether it's spreading joy to our teachers by showing thanks for them, spreading joy through thankfulgrams, spreading joy through canned food drive for our community. So you can see that interwoven throughout. And we also have a spirit week that they put on as well, which spread joy and school spirit throughout our campus as well. So very, very thankful for our community leaders group, especially led by our president, Donna Salcedo. All right, the next club that we want to highlight is a new one, is Circus Club. And so I'm going to invite my buddies, Aiden, Robert, and Micah up to share a little bit about Circus Club and also do some demonstrating, so.
Wonderful.
Circus Club is a club that teaches kids about the cool things there are to learn from circus and how we can learn new ways to use props and learn tricks with them. I've learned lots of really cool tricks with one certain prop called the Diablo, or Chinese yo-yo. There are lots of cool tricks to do with the Diablo, but it is definitely not the only prop used for circus. There are also stilts and poi and flower sticks. And flower sticks are 3 rods that you can balance and throw and flip. Poi are beanbags on strings that you can spin around and do other cool tricks with. Stilts are you just stand on them and they make you taller. Now, Robert's turn.
In circus, we learn a lot of cool stuff like Diablo, stilts, juggling, flower sticks, and many more. Circus is very fun and exciting because there's so many stuff to do and they change every single time, so you'll never know what it is. Overall, circus is very fun and you should try it.
Some things I learned to do is how to juggle, how to do the Diablo, Chinese yo-yo, flower sticks, roller bola, hula hoops, and acrobatics.
All right, we now have some demonstrations happening. You might want to back up a little bit. It gets very involved, but we're very excited. So if you guys want to come up and share one by one what trick you're going to do, and then demonstrate for everyone. Okay.
My two tricks are called the overhead suns and the stick grind. The stick grind,
Ooh.
and the overhead suns.
All right, what are you going to be doing, Robert?
My two tricks are toss and catch and gunslinger.
Ooh.
All right, Micah.
The two tricks I am doing is wonder throw and spider web.
Wow.
So we are very proud of them. It would look like they've been doing this for years, but this is something that they picked up this year. And if you come on campus around sixth grade recess, you'll see them out there practicing. But we're very excited to continue to see what they learn through Circus Club. So,
Mr. Martin and students, would you three mind coming up, doing it again? I saw that parents were out there and filming and may not have gotten it because of which direction you were facing. So can you come on up and do it facing the audience this time if you didn't? You can all come up at the same time and do it. So we can make the same trick that you were doing, but all of you at the same time.
Uh-oh. Woo! Very nice. Very nice.
It was like a three-ring circus, didn't know which one to watch.
and so I also would be remiss to not acknowledge Ms. Faria, who is our 21st Century coordinator, who helps to coordinate all of these after-school programs. And so she was pivotal in bringing in Circus Club as well as a vendor in order to provide that service for our students. So,
Wonderful.
A question for you and for Miss Feria. We've had 21st Century forever, and we've never had a circus club. Where did you find them? Where did you get the idea for this?
Actually, it's I think it's Phoenix Youth Circus Arts, and it just happens that the person who runs it, I've been teaching a children's class through our faith together with for 10 years. So I was able to talk to him and get him to come over to our school. But yeah, they're in several different schools around the valley. For whatever reason, Osborne just hadn't had them yet. So
Glad to
nice.
have them,
yeah,
as are these guys.
yeah. It's the number one club that I would say like over 90% of the kids come every single time. So out of 25 kids, there's always 23 or 24 there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
and as you can see, after they've done their practice, a lot of times families will come and watch their performances. They've also performed at a couple of festivals as well. So.
Very cool.
All right, and we'll move into our Spread Love Awards. So love being living our values every day in Osborne. And so we'll start with the two who are unable to make it. Miss Allen is feeling a little bit under the weather, so wish her well. But Miss Allen is our floater sub at Clarendon, and this is what her nomination was. Amanda has been integral in supporting our self-contained class and other classes when teachers are out. She hit the ground running the very first day of school, subbing in a classroom when she has had no experience doing so. The kids have always responded really well to her. In terms of the self-contained class, she took over without hesitation and has been so helpful in making sure that those students are safe, supported, and learning. Amanda has also developed a deep relationship with each and every student in the self-contained classroom and has been helping them in their transition to a new teacher in the middle of the year. She has accepted every teaching assignment she's been given, and even when needed to change course in the middle of a day to support a different class in the afternoon, she's been there. We know that this particular class would not be where they are now in terms of being safe, supportive, and having a positive learning environment without her guidance and support. So we're very thankful to have Miss Allen on our campus, and she's wonderful, and please wish her well as she's getting over her illness. All right, next up we'll skip down to Beth Anderson, who is also unable to make it. Beth is our behavior interventionist and really deals with providing social emotional support to our students on campus. And she's been at Clarendon as a 6th grade teacher for a long time, but this is her first year in this specific role. So Beth was nominated for exemplifying relationships because she excels at building relationships with staff and students. One way she does this is by consistently supporting teachers as they may encounter different behaviors in the classroom, handling those situations as best as she can, and then following up with the appropriate staff. This is important so that the staff feel like their concerns are being addressed in a timely manner as much as possible. Also, she's been working with small groups of students during our WIN intervention block to help them develop social emotional skills in a smaller setting so that those students can better form positive relationships with their peers and adults. Beth is always willing to help out any staff member with whatever she can do to make that person's day a little better. She is consistently running around campus, literally, to make sure that our students and staff get what they need to have a successful day. So we just want to acknowledge them. All right, next up we have Anna Faria for growth. So Anna Faria is our art teacher and a mentor teacher as well as our 21st century coordinator. Clarendon has always had a focus on developing the whole child with learning experiences both inside and outside the classroom. Through her role as 21st century coordinator, Anna promotes growth for students academically, socially, and physically. Whether circus club or sports, homework club or robotics club, students benefit so much from her work and have a chance to be successful in different contexts. We appreciate all of her hard work to ensure that our students have these experiences. In addition, as an art teacher, we know sometimes students are like, oh, I'm not good at art, but Anna really pushes them to continue to develop in their craft and show that growth over time. She also focuses on different ways that students can show that. So away from like the just traditional drawing, if you go into her classroom, you'll see kids putting together ceramics, which we have a new kiln, which we're very excited about. Woo. But giving students different ways to show they're creative and having different outlets for it. So we're very thankful for Anna Faria on our campus. She's a blessing to have. So thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. Next up, we have Mr. Sam Parker. So Mr. Parker is our resource teacher for special education on our campus. He has also been in the role of in our self-contained room in the past as well. Sam has gone out of his way to support our students with their social emotional needs in several ways, which we all know is very important, especially this year. Sam has been working with 4th graders, which is not his assignment. He mainly works with 5th and 6th graders during our WIN block to help them with their social and emotional needs, even though 4th grade is not his current assignment. Also, he has helped out several teachers with high needs students, even though those students may not be labeled as needing special education services. I know that teachers really appreciate his help, and I've heard so many positive comments about his willingness to help out all of our students and teachers when needed. Thank you so much, Sam, for all that you do for our kids in the name of equity.
Sam.
And last but not least, we'll bring up Miss Clark. So Miss Clark is a 5th grade dual language Spanish teacher. Ms. Clark brings so much joy to our Cougar campus. Through her work with community leaders, she has brought opportunities for students to show thanks to their friends and staff through thank you grams, chances to show our school spirit through our Spirit Week, and community service through the canned food drive with St. Mary's. She also does a wonderful job showcasing our joy by managing our social media and keeping our community informed of all the wonderful things happening on our campus. Overall, Ms. Clark is a wonderful person who always has a smile on her face and spreading joy throughout our campus. We are so thankful for Ms. Clark. Thank you for all you do. You are also such a blessing to have on our campus, so thank you.
That it?
Oh, thank you. And we can't end a presentation without our favorite phrase, Cougar pride is nothing to hide. Rawr!
That's great. Any questions? Mr. Martin, hang tight, and Sam, Anna, and Martha, don't go anywhere. We'll break real quick for some photos here shortly. Is there any questions for Mr. Martin? He's a wonderful principal at Clarendon. He brightens my day. He's the favorite part of my day when I drop off my daughter and I get to listen to his. He does a joke every morning at 8 a.m. To all of the school, and it's pretty funny, actually. I don't know if you got a book or you're just making those up, but they're very, very good. And I stick around after I drop off my daughter just to get that joke on the intercom. But is there any questions for Mr. Martin, or I don't know, maybe Donna's taking questions too there in the back. I'm not sure, but any questions from the board?
No questions, but thank you. I came in late, but I got to see your talents. That was awesome. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also on behalf of the Educational Foundation, this past week was the monthly meeting of the Osborne School District Educational Foundation, and they met at Clarendon this past month, and Mr. Martin gave them a lovely tour of the school and also had an opportunity to showcase and highlight his teachers that have written grants over the years that the foundation has, that they've been able to fund. So just a fantastic tour, a wonderful highlight of all things Clarendon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Martin. It's 5:54 right now. Let's take a 6-minute break real quick. For those of you on the, in the clubs, you can certainly stick around for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to. So we're going to break. We'll come back at 6 o'clock. I'm sure Brendan will want to take some photos if he hasn't already. So let's adjourn for 6 minutes. Thank you again, Mr. Martin. That was wonderful. We're going to go into our consent agenda. For those of you who haven't been on the board recently, for our new members specifically, so I usually go through, or I guess this is my first meeting, so there's no usually yet, but the consent agenda is usually gone through fairly quickly. But if you have anything you want to take off the consent agenda, let me know either in advance of the meeting or let me know now. Hearing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
any opposed? You got to be pretty quick around here.
Third time.
Okay, the consent agenda has passed. So again, in the future, if you want anything pulled up the agenda or anything to talk about, just let me know either in advance or at the time of the meeting. All right. Anything, Lisa, on call to the public?
No.
Okay, wonderful. And this month, it looks like we do not have a board presentation. Typically, on a lot of meetings at least, we have a board presentation, so we're trucking along fairly quickly. I'm going to move on to administrative reports. This is usually, and I'll give a little bit more context to, especially for our newer members. In the past, I think Lisa had to truck around the district dropping off physical packets. Those are now all online. That's both for our benefit here on the board as well as for the public. All the packets are online. You can go ahead and see them and don't have to do a public records request. So hopefully folks had an opportunity to read the wonderful administrative reports that our principals put together, and as well as the suspension report, student absence report, substitute teacher report, and student enrollment report. Are there any questions about any of the administrative reports in the board packet? This is a time. Go ahead.
I was wondering if we could get a report on the suspensions and the absence reports that's disaggregated, just so we can have a little bit more information.
Yeah, so in terms of what's displayed publicly, we don't get into a heavy disaggregation because we don't want any, if there's a particularly identifiable event at a school, we're trying not to have, that level, but, the report is there. We do a couple times a year go through disaggregated data, and that's actually coming up pretty soon. So we'll have a chance to delve into it a little bit deeper, not only for this month, but, cumulatively over time.
That's a great question. We did I'm not sure how Luis asked for that disaggregated data about 9 months ago or something like that. We had a work study session, so I'm really looking forward to revisiting that as well, having that discussion probably at a work study session.
Correct.
Okay. Hearing no other questions or discussion, I'm going to move on to action items. And Dr. Robert, I'll kick this to you.
Yeah, so for new board members, whenever we take a look at governing board policies, there's normally a first reading and a second reading. On occasion, we may need something put into policy quickly, and we can suspend that requirement of 2 readings. So that's one way that you're going to see policies brought to you. Also, there are 3 different types of things that you can see. There are policies, and those policies require board action. There are also regulations and exhibits that don't necessarily require board action, but I do bring them to the board just for transparency, for discussion. But sometimes, those items, it's an exhibit of this is a form that we use for something. It doesn't require board action to approve that, but just for that first look at it, it'll come through this type of setting, through a formal board meeting. But if we change an exhibit, that's not something that requires your approval. It's just changing the form that we're using. So what you're getting a look at here are some exhibits based on laws that have come through in terms of, for instance, the family life education or sex education that we do within schools. Last year, there was a requirement that it's no longer an opt-out. Instead, parents have to opt in. That difference before was it's something that's offered to students by being enrolled in the school. And if they didn't want their child to participate, the parent would have to indicate. That completely changed last year, and now it says when we're ready to offer family life education, we send out a form and parents have to opt into whether they want to participate. And so this is just an exhibit of the forms that parents would use to indicate they're opting in. For the library material selection, this is a sample ASBA form of notification to the community. Great timing on this. We actually had a group that met today. Actually, Storm and Brendan met today to talk about this new requirement of if any new library materials are purchased after January 1, 2023, that there has to be a notification to the community, an opportunity for public input. So this is a first reading that has an exhibit that ASBA is given as a potential. We've put a hold on any orders for any new materials coming into the library. And right now, Storm and Brendan were working on, actual forms that will be the real exhibit. So for right now, once this goes through the first review, second review, this we can put this exhibit into our policy manual. But once they've established what the Osborne exhibit's actually going to look like, that may change without bringing it back to you guys. But just to give you an idea of what those exhibits look like. So normally whenever we do policies, sometimes ASBA will push out policy advisories, and they'll give sometimes 2, 6, sometimes 20 different policies to review. And for the most part, I'll review those with my team and put out a recommendation. Sometimes it's policy by policy. Yes, let's adopt this one as presented. We don't need to adopt this one. This one speaks to high school graduation, so there's no need for us to look at that as an elementary school. With all of these policies, I'm just recommending for this first reading approval as presented.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on any of these items on the first reading?
Are we talking about all the ones listed here right now? Or just
a lot of times with the policies, it can get exhaustive to go through all of them. So if there's any policy in particular that you want to talk about, we can discuss it. As a group, they're listed as a group. So when it comes time for making a motion, you can make the motion to approve policies as presented without having to list them all out. Mm-hmm. But if there's something that you want pulled that we're not going to approve, then we can pull that aside. You can make your motion to approve policies with the exception of blank blank. But is there anyone in particular you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I had a question about JFABDA, admission of students in foster care. And can I ask
Please,
a question?
go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering, I know this comes from ASBA, so I don't know if they gave a rationale. They took out children in foster care are not stigmatized or segregated on the basis of their status as foster children. And I just was wondering why that was being removed. It seems like...
Yeah, I don't know why they struck that line out of the policy. I think part of the policy revisions that they look at are trying to streamline policies as much as possible, taking out any, language that may be redundant. Perhaps their attorneys, as they looked at this, just saw that as through the rest of the language that was in there as self-evident, perhaps. I'd be happy to pose that question to ASBA as to why they struck out that line.
That would be great.
Sometimes the lines in there too are based on legislation. A lot of times when these policy advisories come out, it's a result of legislation. That doesn't seem like a line item, a striking out that is statute driven.
The legislature does some goofy things sometimes, but I find it hard to believe that they would expressly require us to, treat people differently based on their status as a foster kid. So yeah, if you could check on that, that would be helpful.
Sure. And again, approval of anything today will still allow me to go get clarification. And if you don't like the way this policy is written, we can still strike it down in a second reading. So.
Great. Any other questions or comments on any of these items? Just quick comment from me. I mean, a lot of this, like you said, Dr. Robert, is things that we have to do that is passed by the state legislature that I frankly don't agree with. Like the change from opt out to opt in. So I think it's just really incumbent upon us to do a lot of outreach. I know, at least for me, like stuff gets lost in the backpack that comes home. So just doing outreach to families to make sure that they see the opt in, they can opt in, and that's done in both. I assume it's going to be done in both English and
Oh,
Spanish.
absolutely, and it's at specific grade levels too.
Okay.
So and that's not until later in the spring. So when we're prepared to do that, I'll be able to come back and give you an update. Number one, what the language looked like in our opt-in statement, percentage of parents that chose. So give you some stats on the outreach, the efforts that were done to make sure that
Great.
is happening.
That's wonderful, and I appreciate working with our librarians on the materials. I mean, it's again another change from the legislature. I think it just makes our life harder and adds more costs, and it's unfortunate that you guys have had to halt. It sounds like bringing on new books. That's something that's kind of outside your normal process. So I'm happy that that's getting back to normal, but I know that's a lot of work. So I appreciate you guys putting in the work to make that happen. Any other comments? I'm going to entertain any sort of motion that might want to be made on this agenda item. Just need somebody to move.
I move that we approve the first reading of the policies.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay, it passes on the first reading. Appreciate you coming back with that answer for that question from Leanne. All right, moving along. This is shaping up to be a fairly short meeting here. I cannot promise they're all going to be this short.
Set you up for success for the first meeting.
Yeah,
Ed.
exactly. I appreciate that.
Set you up for an expectation too.
Yeah, no expectation too. Now we're past the action items. We're going to informational updates and some discussion items. One thing I want to discuss, and it doesn't need to be a long discussion, but I want to get some feedback from my colleagues here. We have the opportunity every year to do professional development. Of course, you guys are aware of the professional development that we do outside of this room. ASBA, NASBA, all sorts of wonderful professional development. We also have the opportunity to do something more like readings and books amongst us as a group, along with our superintendent, kind of like a book club, I guess you can consider it, but something that's professional development that we do when we come together. Not a huge obligation, as I know everybody's busy already, but something that we can kind of focus our energy upon. Usually it's like a book or a video or a movie. I just wanted to solicit, as we look to do that in the coming year, solicit any topics or items that my colleagues might want to brush up on, learn about, have some professional development type discussion around. So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if you've got thoughts and ideas, I would love to hear them as we move forward with professional development for this year.
So a recommendation, since we have 2 new board members, maybe I know that when I was in your seat and we had new members, we did I think it was a reading on superintendent and school board goals, and that's when we aligned them. Because we need to ensure that we also understand, our goals have to be aligned with the superintendents. So something in that fashion would be helpful, I think, for the new board members so they can understand, and maybe if they've heard, since they're educators, of any books, that they want to recommend.
Yep.
Or I can send you a list of what I have, otherwise open.
Yep, and I don't need anything specific. If you have something specific, let me know, but I don't need anything necessarily specific. Dr. Robert and I will go back and do some research, but I think that's a great idea. Anything else? Any other ideas?
I do have a couple of book recommendations that I can send your way as well.
That'd be great. I would love that.
Are there any particular topics that those books are on that just
best practices in board governance and in superintendent board governance relations.
Awesome.
That'd be great. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And if anybody has any other ideas, you can just reach out to me directly. So thank you for that. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. Moving on, ASBA Bolts Conference, February 10th, 2023. Dr. Roberto, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so what you're going to see at all these meetings in the board development time, so when Ed's talking about, the reading or whatever, this is a space that we would do some professional learning. It's also an opportunity for me to share with you things from the field open to governing board members. So ASBA puts out regular conferences. The BOLTS conference is that basic organization leadership, BOLTS. It stands for something, but it's that basic organizational. You went through the new board member orientation. BOLTS is an annual conference, so it's a great refresher. You may not want to go since you just had a pretty full day in depth onboarding, as board members. It's a nice repeated professional development. If you've been a board member for a while, it'd be really good to go get some of those nuts and bolts type of stuff. So you'll see these, and if there's any conferences that are listed in here, you can email Lisa and she'll take care of the registration for you. Also, if there are things that you guys know about, I know to look at ASBA, at NSBA, at CUBE, at NALEO. I didn't look at NALEO opportunities. When Ms. Aguilar became a board member, she let me know. And now that's become a regular thing that we've put on here for potential professional development for board members. If you guys know of professional learning opportunities, share them with me, and then I can get them on this agenda so that everybody knows about it and you have the opportunity to sign up for those. And I can talk with you too about budgets that each board member has for professional development throughout the school year. But anyway, the one that's listed on here is BOLTS. So if any members have interest in attending BOLTS,
Let
let
Lisa
Lisa
know.
know and she'll get you registered.
Wonderful. Okay. The next part of the meeting is reflections, feedback on the meeting. I know this is a very short one. Again, this is something that's optional. We always start with the person all the way on the south side of the room. So Leanne, we're going to start with you with any sort of reflections or feedback on the meeting.
I really appreciated all the information from Clarendon. I could feel the joy and just how great of a community you all have at Clarendon, and so that was a great way to start today off. And I'm really excited to be here, and thank you all for being here today too.
Violeta?
Yeah, I want to, similar to Leanne, just love seeing the highlights of Clarendon. And then I actually went to high school with Mr. Parker, so that was really great to see
cool.
just, the public school system, doing such great things. So that
Awesome.
was really awesome.
Or here? Yeah, you're from here. Okay. She went to the U of A, so we went to college together. So I was trying to put the pieces together. Awesome. So my reflection is it's great to have the new with us. Different energy, different perspective. Always great to see the kiddos. I think that's why I do this. So it's always really cool, especially with their awesome tricks. And then see our community together. So that's my reflection.
Luis?
Ditto on the new board members. It's a different vibe in the room, and I like it a lot. And then I really want to comment on Clarendon. I'm trying to remember her name right now, but the community leader, the fact that she's the president of a club that did 912 meals for their community, that's just awesome. That's, building leaders in their own community to support it, which was great to hear.
It's awesome. Should I go Dr. Robert before myself?
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
January is School Board Member Recognition Month. So it's awesome having two new board members part of our community. If you guys had a chance to check out our social media page, you saw introductions of Leanne and Violeta to the community. Brendan took the opportunity to film those. They got posted. That was really nice. It was great we've gotten to know each other over the past few weeks or months, but it's been nice, for you to be able to shout yourselves out to the community and talk about things that, why you ran for the board. Thank you to the community and just some of the priorities that you're bringing in and the lens that you're bringing into our community in this new role of board member service. So kudos to all of you for your membership, for the different roles that you play on the board. And we'll do our best to continue shouting you guys out throughout the month of January.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I thought it was wonderful to see Clarendon, to see Mr. Martin, to see our wonderful teachers, and just all the things that the students are doing, especially after school, just wonderful. But I know it takes a lot of work. It takes teachers and Mr. Martin and staff being there later, coming in earlier. I know that takes a lot of work, so I really appreciate it. Every time I see that the kids are doing something new and exciting, I know how much work that takes to put in to plan all that and execute. So I just really appreciate all the hard work that you guys do. It is wonderful to have our 2 new board members. Thanks, guys, for your support, and appreciate you guys being easy on me on my first meeting as president. One last thing, I appreciate you be supporting me. I wanted to add the land acknowledgement statement. I know we haven't done that before as a board. I thought that's important. I've seen other places. I went to a Pima County Board of Supervisors meeting last year, and I saw them do it, and they do it at all of their meetings. I think it's very important. It's something that gets lost and something that gets forgotten about, that the land that we sit on here today is indigenous land. And I think that's important to remind ourselves, to remind our students and our staff, especially because our Osborne district, we have, at least has been told to me at one point, one of the largest populations of indigenous students here in any public school that's not located on the reservation. So I appreciate that. When I was talking to my wife about it, she goes, "You're going to make the meetings longer and add something to the meetings?" And I said, "No, it's not going to be that long." And it's really not, but it's something that's really important. So I appreciate your support on that. So with that, I'm going to go to next future agenda items. This is the opportunity on our meeting to add anything that you want to see as a future agenda item, something for discussion, action.
And I don't put new things on future agenda items, but just for members, you guys saw in the packet this month, when you put on things as future agenda items, sometimes it's just something that's on your mind that's happening within the district, and it doesn't actually make it onto an agenda as an item. Sometimes it's research that I do and I get you answers to things, and sometimes it's something that hasn't been addressed and it does show back as a future agenda item. So as you think about that coming to future meetings, things that you can add, put on there for future agenda items, sometimes it's just, something that is happening. You want to bring it, you want some answers, and we can do that either through just collecting answers for you or it being something for the whole community to discuss.
With that explanation, Leanne, anything?
I was wondering if we could, whether it's the next meeting or some time in the future, just talk about how we want to go out there and increase enrollment and talk about how great our schools are to the community. I think that'd be great to start planning since the new year is coming up.
That's a good one. Violeta?
I have nothing for now.
Yeah, just in line with what Leanne said, I know we talked about the communications campaign and our campaign to do outreach for new enrollment. And then the other item, I learned this in my other board meeting, and I thought it was really interesting and helpful. And since we have new board members, one thing that the general manager, which is equivalent to our superintendent, does is at the end of every board meeting, he goes over anything that's going to be on the consent agenda for the next meeting. So that way, if there are any conversations or discussions that can happen, it starts putting it on the radar so you guys are aware, so you can practice knowing what's going to happen and then doing the research and asking the questions. And he does that as practice so we can become aware of what's going to be on the next consent agenda. And I found that very helpful as a new board member on the water board. And I think that would be kind of helpful for us here as well. Instead of just, I don't know, sometimes it's helpful to have things ahead of time and have time to think about them.
Luis, anything?
At the moment.
Okay. I mean, I agree with the enrollment having a robust discussion and something in writing. You know, it's not just about advertising. It's more than that. You know, it's retention. It's kind of comprehensive. It's a lot of components that go into that. You know, that goal and that desire to increase enrollment. So I think that would be wonderful. So concur on that. With that, this meeting is adjourned. I promise all of them will be under an hour. Just kidding.
Did that happen before the?
Yes,
That
just
would be on
kidding.
the
That was,
record.
that was not on the record. That was after the gavel.
Almost had you nailed down to something. Like, how is that possible?
We would not be happy on the.
One, I think they opened.
Water board meeting was from like.
That's part of it.
Bless yourself. Thing is for water.
We don't need water here, so no. We've got plenty of water here. What are you talking about?
Like so far, like everything's been good. We haven't made headlines. Well, we should really keep. The board makes headlines every day, but not like the board members. So I'm like, we made the wrong vote.